I'm just going to start recording now. And this is going to be something that for those who can't make the webinar, you'll be able to see this after I'm done. So, cool. All right, so you know what? I think I'm just going to begin right now. And if for those late stragglers, they'll be able to kind of hop in and feel free to ask any questions that you might have on the fly. And then I'll just set aside some time for you guys for me to answer any and all questions afterwards. Sound good? So it's going to get started and we're going to get going, okay? All right, so I'm just going to switch out over here and share my screen. So let me know once you see my screen as well. Hold on a moment. It's going to take time. Perfect. Cool. Just going to move this out of the way. All right, awesome. Oh, all right, there we go. All right, well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, or good day to wherever you are in the world. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on a Friday to chat about with me and Tabletics, where this is going to be our webinar on the 5 ways to leverage personalized push notifications for fun and profit. So what I mean by fun exactly, that's just another way of sending delight to your customers, engaging push notifications that actually prove the value that you deserve to be on their smartphones, and essentially just keeping them in the loop of what's going on with your app and ultimately what value you're delivering to your customers. And for the mobile marketer or product managers on our side, on your side, more specifically profit, which is essentially adding real dollars to your bottom line and improving the ROI of your push notification campaigns. So before I get into the thick of it, I'm just going to be doing a little brief intro of myself. So who am I? My name is William Lamb. Thank you for joining me. I am currently marketing manager over here at Tabletics. I've been with the company for about 2 years now. Formerly, I was on the customer success team over here at Tabletics. And as such, I've overseen thousands of experiments and countless push campaigns. So I've definitely seen what works and what doesn't. And I'm so excited to share with you what I've learned over these past few years at Tabletics. On a personal note, I'm an amateur Olympic weightlifter and an Instant Pot connoisseur. If you'll find me trying to, try out new and different Instant Pot recipes. I just love using it and should probably get kickbacks from them. Unfortunately, I don't. If you're a busy professional, it's something that you should definitely have in your kitchen. In any case, working in tech as such, I love, and especially at a company like Tabletics, I love all things optimization, engagement, retention, tech, and AI. And for the record, once sentient AI becomes a thing, let it be known that I, for one, will bow down to our new AI overlords once they take over. All kidding aside, if you didn't get that Simpsons reference, yeah, don't worry about it. All right, so let's dive into this. There's a bit of foreshadowing in terms of what we'll be covering. We're going to be chatting about optimizing push opt-in. So what I mean by that exactly, essentially, when you download an app from the App Store or any of the app stores actually, and you get that you're hit by a permission, that opt-in modal where they ask you for permission to send in or to allow you for them to send push notifications to you. Essentially, if you're getting more people to opt into your push notifications, essentially there will be trickle down effects into getting more people to engage with your personalized push notifications, and ultimately adding dollars to your bottom line. Secondly, we're just going to be talking about how you can harness all that customer data that you probably have but aren't quite using in your push campaigns yet. Thirdly, we're just going to be talking about the push experimentation or the experimentation mindset. So Tabletics, we got our start in mobile A/B testing, and with A/B testing, you're experimenting everything. And as such, and by extension, you should be running experiments in order to understand what works and what doesn't work on your audiences through push notifications. And I'll just be going into how to navigate that. And lastly, we're just going to be talking about smart push campaigns, where it's essentially just wrapping business logic and adding a little intelligence around your push notifications, where if a customer does this, then it should do that, and just have them strung together so that you're leading your users and customers towards the best possible outcome in terms of understanding how to use your app, and ultimately perhaps like driving them to make more purchases on your app as well. So let's move forward, shall we? Excuse me. So getting people to opt into push notifications. How do you do that exactly? I just want to kind of get this out of the way. So, when I was talking about having that push being presented with that push modal right away, if that user doesn't accept that opt-in, it's incredibly difficult to get them to re-enable push notifications again. That push opt-in modal needs to be contextual. So I'll give you a bit of a high-level statistic here where with so many different options, at your fingertips on your smartphones, and so many options in the marketplace, user interest is just so easily lost when the average app loses 86% of its new users. Sorry, I'm just tripping over myself right now. An average app loses over 86% of its new users after their first use. That's huge. And perhaps if you're running an ad campaign around that and driving paid installations, you'd be losing out on a ton of money and a lot of users who can be marketed to and communicated to through push notifications. So case in point here, this is the stock push notification modal. What you eventually want the users to do is obviously click OK, right? But how do you get them to opt into push notifications instead of just presenting the stock one here, where there isn't much you can do in terms of customization? What we like to recommend is running experiments on when the best time is, and based on certain actions, based on let's say having this being presented before you actually get that modal that I've showed you before, where you could vary the timing of when this screen pops up before getting that native Apple push modal, or you can have it trigger when certain actions are done. So for instance, with this screenshot over here, this is from the Arrive app made by Shopify. Essentially, over here, they're letting you know what the benefits are of getting opting into push notifications, and a clear call to action right here. So a few other things that we always recommend our customers to do is run experiments on copy, or even just the general design, and perhaps a different picture in the background over here as well. So based on what I've observed in our data, we've seen that running experiments like these yield anywhere between a 30 to 50% increase in opt-ins, which is huge, right? All right, so if you're one of the things that we also say or recommend to our customers is just doing a simple copy change, where changing this turn on notifications call to action here to something more like, I don't know, turn on real-time notifications. It lets the user know what exactly is going on with their shipment at every step of the way. When, let's say if you're ordering something from Amazon, if it's being shipped from Boulder, Colorado, eventually to the border in New York City, and eventually to, I don't know, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and eventually to your doorstep. Yeah, you'll be able to be notified right away simply through opting into these push notifications with something like this. Cool. Thirdly, in terms of getting more people to opt into push notifications, as I was mentioning before, because it's so hard to get users to opt in again, did you know that it's actually 4 separate discrete steps in order to re-enable push? You have to go to the notification center and toggle a switch. You have to tap the button to enable push notifications for your app. You have the option to choose no alert banners or alerts. And then finally, you tap the banners icon, and every time an app sends you push notification, you'll eventually get the push notification. In any case, one of the most powerful things you can do at this point when a user has decided not to opt into push notifications right away is send them a re-permission campaign through other channels that you might have. So most commonly, you probably have the customer's email. You send a re-permission campaign through email with something like a limited time offer, where in adding a little bit of urgency and scarcity as well, where you're incentivizing the user to turn on push notifications. And if you're trying to measure something like measure the dollar value of push notifications as well, and you understand that, running something like a re-permission campaign is something you have to do to be able to get more users to opt into push notifications. All right, so now we'll be moving on to harnessing customer data. What do I mean by that exactly? It could be data points on customers where it's the number of purchases that they made, their location, or when their birthday is, or whatever. It's just harnessing these data points can make it feel a lot more personal to the users, where they essentially feel you're not trying to sell them at each and every point. It actually is based on their user behaviors and actions, cater to what their experience is with your product. So as such, with personalization, you're literally getting up and personal with your customers and users. So some rules of thumb right from the get-go are just writing short and punchy, concise push notifications that are one-to-one conversational, and they're a bit personal, or they could be cheeky or funny, or whichever way you want to put it. Another thing that you should be cognizant of is this having some sort of inherent value attached to your push notification and having a clear call to action attached. So the ideal push notification, if you are sending it to them, once you're clicking through, it should actually ideally lead to that part of the app where you're directing them towards. So if you're running a sale, for instance, you should probably go towards that product detail page where you're running that, where that item is on sale, for instance. Thirdly, you want to use information on the user level. And as I was mentioning before, you can leverage things not only to something like their first name, their birthday, or the actual user activity. These are all things that are at your fingertips and at your disposal. And if you're using something like Taplytics, you have the option of sending that data to us as custom user data, and that'll be available in your segmentation options, which leads us to segmentation, where you want to target groups of users with those similar attributes, and having this laser focused push notifications that are relevant to the user. And then finally, I like to call it the holy trinity of push notifications, which is the 3 R's of push notifications, which is you want to send the right message at the right place at the right time. And I'm just going to talk about a really recent example that I've come across, and I was like, whoa, this is actually a really good push notification, which is example from this app called Flip, which is a couponing app. So the reason why I got this push notification here, and the reason why I thought it was so awesome, is because the night before I was just browsing through the Flip app, and I saw a few sales, and I clipped a coupon specifically for an item that I was interested in at Shoppers Drug Mart, and then I just forgot about it the next day. So right where Taplytics headquarters, there's a Shoppers Drug Mart nearby. And as I was walking by, literally within 10 meters, I get this push notification, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I have a clipping for this particular item that I want to take action on. So I just double backed and walked back to Shoppers Drug Mart and redeemed my coupon in order to get the item. And with that, I remembered that there's inherent value in to continue getting push notifications from Flip for any coupons that I might have, and it'll still have relevance on my phone. Cool. Next up, we're going to be talking about marketing push notifications. I call this the backbone of all push notifications, simply because they're the easy channel for mobile marketers to be able to let customers know of what's on sale, or what new release or product is. So I'm going to dive into this now. All right, so marketing push notifications are pretty infrequent. Hopefully you're not spamming your customers every day with a push notification of a different sale. If everything's on sale, nothing is really on sale then, is it? Usually they can be scheduled, or something that you can send to a target segment of customers based on a certain time of year. So for instance, a few examples of here, some prominent retailers such as Crate & Barrel, Uniqlo, and Wayfair are that you'll see that a lot of them have let's see, a clear call to action. This is around Thanksgiving. They're using emoji. There's a sale going on here, and it's just really concise. I know what to do. And if I was to click through, it'll probably lead me towards the product detail page of where those items are on sale. For Uniqlo here, this was sent not so long ago during Lunar New Year, or otherwise known as Chinese New Year. And it's like a limited time offer where they added urgency to this push notification. And finally over here, there's a push notification that I got from Wayfair. This is right around St. Paddy's Day. And the cool thing about this was that they had also had a image attached to the sale as well, of something that I was actually interested in, and they added there, which definitely made this push notification stand out from the rest. So, kind of going back to some of these points here, they're standing out from all other push notifications, or your push notifications ideally should be standing out from others with succinct copy and a clear CTA and leveraging rich push notifications. All right, the experimentation mindset. So what does that mean exactly? It's essentially just you don't know what will work and what doesn't work unless you actually measure it. So here's a few examples in terms of a few different variants of essentially the same push notification that I have here, where this is for the copy for an abandoned cart campaign, where it's like saying, hey, John, you forget about your purchase. We've reserved these items for you. Click through to get 10% off. So we're adding an incentive here and an emoji to stand out. Over here, or actually, the variant here, the difference is that we don't have the emoji, but we actually have a time constraint as well. How does that measure up compared to this one? I'm not sure yet. You won't know unless you actually test it. And then finally over here, the difference of this is obviously this beautiful image attached to the push notification of an actual item that I put into the cart, and maybe I forgot about following through on purchasing because I was distracted by something or the other. So essentially, testing out different dimensions, such as using social influence tactics such as urgency, incentivizing through discounts over certain average cart value are definitely best practices. And with something like this as well, when it comes to abandoned cart campaigns or any sort of campaign in particular, you want to ensure that you're spacing out your pushes, figuring out what the timing is so that you're getting maximum coverage and not being coming off as spammy as well. Cool. So smart push notifications. So what are these exactly? Essentially, I was mentioning before, it's adding a little bit of business logic and intelligence of setting up push notifications that are relevant to the user, where you're setting push notifications with those 3 R's in mind, setting the right place, right message, right place, and right time. And most common examples of smart push campaigns, as I was alluding to before, are abandoned cart push notifications. Over here, because a customer has probably already expressed intent to purchase, these push notifications are essentially a friendly nudge to get them to eventually purchase whatever, right? Other than that, you should be testing out the timing and other dimensions and variables to ensure that you're getting the highest performing sequence. And over here, these are two different examples. They're similar to the ones that I showed before, where you're having one that's pretty standard and another one that is that has incentive and a time constraint as well. And you could probably just chain these together in order to make sure that they're sort of like a cascade effect, where maybe that first time that first push notification didn't work, or they're still busy as well. Hitting them with another push notification the next day afterwards with that final offer, so to speak. And definitely spur incentivize action and motivate the user to follow through on that purchase. All right. Finally, we're just going to be talking about automated retention campaigns, which falls under the Smart Push campaign umbrella. Essentially, these are just sending reminders to re-engage and pull your user or customers back into the app at critical points of their life cycle. So for instance, if they, that, users after 30 days, they eventually churn, or they just don't get any value, or they delete their app altogether. Perhaps it's a good idea to actually have a smart push campaign kick in order to pull them back in and eventually increase that customer lifetime value of the user. The timing can be weekly. That's something that's pretty standard, but this is something that you need to test, and it could be through all the certain custom user data and variables that you're already collecting on the user, and having smart push notifications trigger when they actually do something, or in the absence of not doing something. And as I mentioned before, leveraging social influence techniques can certainly help as well. So I'm going to go into a few examples of what that could look like. So Flip, one of my favorite apps. There's another example, actually about an hour ago, and I threw this in last minute. I thought this was really great in that I had another coupon clipping where it was expiring and is expiring today. I don't have the time because I'm talking with you guys right now. Otherwise, I'd be there. But I definitely found this valuable, and it's going to be top of mind for me to actually, go back to the app and take advantage of that offer. If you're going back to another space in the dating space, if you're single and ready to mingle and you've matched with someone, right, you probably want to actually follow through and start that conversation, spark that conversation, and who knows, that might be the love of your life. But you're essentially helping the user, or you're facilitating that interaction by helping the user and reminding them that they have a message waiting for them. They probably want to get on right away. And finally, over here, there's a great Toronto-based app called Ritual. It's essentially like an order ahead app. Essentially, I found this particularly awesome in that it leveraged the 3 R's of push campaigns, where it was this essentially, it was relevant to me, where it was letting me know that it was expiring today, right? So there was a timing, and then there's like an incentive as well that it would let me know that I'd be getting like 20x points by following through on this. So all these examples are some great examples, all of these are some great examples of super relevant push notifications. And ultimately being able to add more dollars to your bottom line as well, especially if you're monetizing off of it. All right, so I'm just going to leave some time for some questions. If you have any, please type them right now. I'm just going to switch over to the Q&A view, but if you want to reach me as well, here's my email, will@taplytics.com, or if you are on Instagram or Twitter, my handle is at will_lamb. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys now. So I'm just going to switch over to Q&A. Hold on a sec. Let's see what's going on. I'll give a few minutes for you guys to ask some questions. Don't see any yet, but that's okay. Doesn't look like there's any questions right now, but that's okay. You know where to find me. I've already given my contact information, but again, I thank you so much for taking the time of your busy schedules to join myself and Taplytics for this quick webinar on how to leverage personalized push notifications for fun and profit. Thanks, and I guess I'll see you guys online. Okay, bye.